You are listening to Season 2 of Transition Tales, hosted by Christina Herr. Listen to stories from the military community that inspire you to visualize your future and feel empowered to move through your own transitions in life. Are you looking to increase your marketability as a project manager? DLL Coach offers training and certifications that will enhance anyone's resume, from project management assessment and certification to change management. I have partnered with DLL Coach to offer you 10% off any of their courses by using code Transition Success. You can find more information about their programs at dllcoach.com. That's Delta Oscar Lima Coach.com. Welcome to the Transition Tales podcast. We are happy to have you back again. I have a wonderful guest with me. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am Matt Wood. I'm retired Army. I was an enlisted infantryman for 21 years. Got to be all over the world and do a lot of really cool things while doing that. Definitely did not have the typical infantry career progression path. Deviated quite a bit from that from time to time, and retired just over 3 years ago. Upon retirement, I started working for Mickey Mouse, which
Awesome.
it's always interesting to tell people that you worked for a Mickey Mouse organization, and sometimes you actually get to meet it. So I had a lot of goofy people that I worked with, a lot of
No pun
characters.
intended.
Right? Yeah. No. Exactly. Um, and so I got to do that, like you said, for almost just over 3 years. I had a little bit of break to do something else, but I worked for Disney right up until October 2nd. And then unfortunately, I got to be part of the 28,000 cast members that got laid off when the company decided that for some reason they felt they were bleeding a lot of money and said, "Hey, we're going to let people go." Um, but it was a fun time. It was a great company to work for. I really enjoyed that as I transitioned out from wearing Army green to Mickey ears.
So how did that transition happen? Like, did you plan on working for Disney or?
So that's a really fun story.
Oh yeah, I love fun stories.
So about 4 years ago, my family and I, we were here on vacation at Disney World. Had an 8-day vacation plan. We were down here, spent the first 2 days going to the parks, took a day off, and then the next 2 days we're going to be in the parks. And so on the day off we had, we were cruising around. We just our youngest kids, this is their first time being here at Disney World, so we were riding the monorails. We were going to, just see the different resorts and things. And we were talking to different cast members. So for those that are unaware, Disney calls their employees cast members because they're an entertainment company. Um, so we're talking with cast members, just trying to get an idea of how they felt about working for Disney and everything else. By this point, I had already made the decision I was going to retire from the Army. So, all right, I'm done. Didn't know where we were going to go. I'm originally from New Hampshire. My wife is from Colorado. So, and as part of my not so normal infantry career, I'd spent 3 years working at the U.S. Embassy in Helsinki, Finland. Realized cold weather is not what we wanted anymore. So,
I agree with you.
yeah. So we said, hey, we'll look at a couple places. Texas had kind of piqued our interest as a possibility. So, anyway, while we're here on vacation, we're talking to these cast members, and to a T, almost all of them really enjoyed working for the company. They were having a lot of fun with it. They enjoyed being part of that. So we get back to our room that night. My wife turns to me and says, "Hey, it'd be kind of cool if you had a job at Disney." I didn't realize she wasn't serious at the time, so I was like, "Okay, well, challenge accepted." So when January came around, I started reaching out and looking at the Disney career website, trying to find something. Realized I didn't want to go into security. Felt that was gonna kind of pigeonhole me into the typical, oh, I was infantry, all I can do is
I was
kick
gonna say, is
indoors.
that a typical transition, is to go into
Yeah,
security?
it does seem to be that way. I know a
Okay.
lot of people that do that, and I just was like, no, I don't want to go that route. Um, so I was looking around. Then through the wonder of LinkedIn, I actually made a connection with somebody with the Disney Vacation Club, and she kind of gave me some background on different roles within that part of the company. I figured, okay, well, I've been an Army recruiter, so if I can sell the Army for 3 years, um, I should be able to go in and sell timeshare. Yeah, which the more people hear that, like, ooh, timeshare. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
But no, I like the way you put it. You're like, if I can sell people the army, like I can sell
Right, yeah.
people a timeshare.
So that's how I looked at it, and so she's like, okay, well, we've got this role coming up. It's advanced sales associate. Go ahead and apply for it. When you do, let me know, and then send me your resume, and I'll pass it on to the hiring lead. It's like, wow, that's fantastic. So I did that, and during that whole time period, from January up until March, I'd been applying at a lot of other places down in the Orlando area. Had gotten interviews, gotten offers from a couple other companies, so I knew I at least had something if Disney didn't come through. So
Well, that had to have given you some, definitely given you some peace of mind. Like I don't typically hear that people have that, that type of cushion, I guess, for a lack of better term. So you must have been
right.
either really prepared or really lucky.
Well, I think a combination of both. I was really fortunate in that so my last duty assignment was at Fort Benning, Georgia, and when we had moved down there from Fort Campbell in Tennessee, Kentucky, whatever, same, it's on the state line. So we we moved down to Georgia, and my wife had gotten a job working for a nonprofit that all they do is help veterans with jobs, job searching, resumes, LinkedIn stuff. So um, she made that connection there and was working with them and had said, hey, look, these are things that you need to be doing as you're getting ready to get out.
Oh, so you
So
had, you had your own personal transition counselor.
yeah, basically because it was everything that she was telling me and her office was telling me was so much better than what I got through transition assistance program at Fort Benning. I mean,
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I do.
yeah,
I used
that
to
was,
be a tap trainer, so like you would think I would get offended, but I'm like, no, I was just a really good tap trainer.
well, yeah, and I think that that's part of it is they when they started going all these contractors at Fort Benning, at least it cut down on the personal experience. So it was like, okay,
Well,
you've only got a half hour to go in and talk to these people, and that's it.
yeah, and then with the not to stop your story, but also the actual tap course, we're supposed to stay in our lane and stay in the curriculum. And there are a few of us that are willing to put our jobs on the line to kind of go a little off, off center and tell you some, stuff that we've learned or that other people have experienced, and we can use their experiences to help. But when you're a contractor, you're kind of scared to do that. You don't want to lose your job. Some of
Right.
us, especially prior like I swear it's the prior military people. We're like, well, we'll see how this goes. It's mission accomplishment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so you were applying for jobs, and you had already talked to this person about Disney Vacation Club. What happened after that?
So I did everything that she asked me to do, sent her my resume, and then within about 2 weeks, I'm getting a call from a Disney recruiter saying, "Hey, I want to kind of give you a phone interview just to see if you're going to be a good fit." Went through that, apparently passed because the next thing I knew, they were like, "Okay, we want to schedule you to come down here and do an in-person interview with two of our leaders." So, okay, fantastic. So March comes around, I'm on permissive TDY. I come down here to Florida. Um, Go in, sit down with these two senior managers. Now, this is the first time I've done any kind of job interview. And I mean, other than promotion boards in the Army or whatever, I
Which
went
is
in.
completely different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I was totally nervous. Um, Went in, did the interview, um, came back from that within, I want to say it was probably 2 weeks. They called me, the recruiter called me back, said, "Hey, we want to have you come down and start training um, uh, in May." I said, "Well, I can't. I still have Army obligations until June." I said, "Okay, well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to, we can't offer you anything at this point then." It's okay, cool. Well, April comes around. Um, my contact reaches back out and says, "Hey, they're reposting that position. You should reapply." I did all that. Again, another couple weeks, get a call from the same recruiter who says, "Hey, um, here's feedback from your last interview. We want to get you to come back down here and we'll go through the process again." So I drive back down, sit down, and instead of two managers, now I've got those two senior managers plus five of their subordinates. So now I'm going to, so I walk into the first room and I've got one of the managers that I talked with before plus two others, and go through this whole interview thing. I think I'm done. And they're like, "Hey, have you met the other leaders?" "No, I haven't." "Okay, so we're going to go introduce me to them." "Oh, cool." I walk across the hall into this room. Now there's the other one that I'd met with plus three others. And I sit down. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Matt." And they're like, "Okay, so part two of the interview. Let's keep going." Oh, crap. Now I've got a panel interview. Wonderful. Go through all that, walk out of there, uh, and then make the drive back up to Georgia. A couple weeks later, it's getting to be the end of May now at this point, and I've already got movers scheduled. Um, they're planning on coming to pick everything up. We're going to move down here to Florida regardless. And recruiter's like, "Hey, so we had 900 people interview for this position or apply for this
Wow.
position. Yeah, and we only had 14 spots open." Like, okay, cool. Give me the bad news. I didn't get it. I already, whatever. And she's like, "So yeah, only 14 positions open, but we want to offer you one of those positions."
Aw.
I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Way to get my, prep me for a down and then bring me back up." Uh, and then the kicker was they wanted me to come back down um, the following week to do onboarding, fingerprinting, everything else. It's like, okay, well, problem is I've got movers that are showing up that day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Well, okay, see if you can make arrangements, because if you can be down here, that's great. If not, then we'll have to withdraw the offer. Okay, called my wife. We talked about it. She's like, I'll, I'll, I'll be at the house. I'll cover. You go do this if this is what you want to do." All right, cool. Called the recruiter back. Said, "Yep, I'll be there. Do everything I got to do." So got up the morning that I needed to come down here at like 5. Drove the 6 hours to get down here to Disney. Did all the stuff. Got everything done by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And drove all the way home. Um, so uh, and then June 3rd, I started training with Disney. I was still on my last month of terminal leave.
Right.
So kind of double dipping, got paid
Well,
from Uncle
that's one of the
Sam
perks
and
of,
Mickey.
yeah, that's one of the perks of getting a civilian job and not a government service job, is that you can do that. Why do you think the interview process was different the second time around?
Um, I think part of it was when I went through it initially, it was kind of a, all right, well, well, so the person that I connected with initially had been with Disney for 10 plus years and had been in a variety of different roles, including leadership roles within Disney Vacation Club. So her weight behind my resume meant something. So I think they kind of did it as a courtesy to say, "Hey, yeah, absolutely, come down. Let's see if you're going to be a good fit for us this time, and then if that works, cool, we can get you set up to come back down here. And then the second time around was actually more of the formal, hey, this is how we do
Oh, so you think that's
our interview
normally how
process.
they do it?
That's what I felt. That's what it felt like to me.
Okay. It seems like you had a fairly smooth transition. Like, where was there any point where you were concerned or maybe things didn't go so well?
Um,
Or
well, I mean,
maybe
I
you're
was,
still transitioning.
well, yeah, that might be part of it. I mean, I know I definitely was concerned about uh, starting over again. And when started working with the vacation club and realized, okay, this is another sales role. And oh, yeah, I really didn't like being a recruiter. So that makes it tough.
Yeah, but you were
So,
selling the Army. Now you're selling
right,
Disney.
right. Which, I mean, I thought, okay, hey, it's Disney, it's going to sell itself. And to an extent, it kind of did. Um, it got to a point where I wasn't as successful as I thought I was going to be going into it, and the leadership that I had wasn't very responsive, um, and they didn't have very. They had other sales associates that they would identify as, okay, this is going to be your peer trainer. The one that I got, his values and ethics didn't really align with mine.
Hmm.
I made the comment to him at one point. I'm like, look, this is what you're telling me to do kind of goes against my values and everything that I've grown up with and spent the last 20 plus years refining. And one of the conversations that I had with him, he said, okay, well, if I'd known all this stuff at the beginning, I would have found a way for you to get around that. Like, okay, well, that right there is a big red flag to me.
Right.
Um, and it got to the point where I said, this job itself to me is more stressful than being in combat. Um, and there were a lot of days I would come into work and just be like, man, I don't want to do this. I mean, I love working for Disney, but I do not want to do this. I didn't want to go to work. I'd come home and sit in the driveway for a few minutes just because I was so stressed out and burned out and just not happy. Um, and it was affecting my home life. It was everything. Um, and so I ended up in March of 2018. I went to the VA for some medical issues. They put me on a walking boot, which meant I wasn't able to be out on stage at Disney because I wasn't within Disney look. So they said, all right, we're going to put you on 8 weeks of medical leave of absence. I come back from that in June, come right back into working, and so this is roughly about mid-June, I get a call to come up to managers' offices, and I go sit down with the two senior managers. One of them was one of the original ones that I'd met, and then the other one was a leader that had been promoted. So they sit down and they're like, okay, well, we got to talk to you about your numbers. Okay. Was anybody talk to you about this? No. Oh, okay. Well, here's the deal. Your numbers for February, March, and April are what we're looking at. And they say, your January numbers were okay. Your February numbers weren't that great. Your March numbers didn't do so well, and then your April numbers um, were really bad. It's like, okay, well, I only worked 2 days in April. I'm like, yeah. So we talked with HR and we realized we can't hold that against you. I'm like, yeah, no kidding.
What bothers me is that they wanted to hold that against you and they had to have
Yes.
HR tell them that they can't hold it against you.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what bothered me too. Um, so they said, okay, well, here's the deal. You need to book 22 tours between now and the end of June, essentially to keep your job. Because, oh, by the way, this meeting with us, this is your performance memorandum 1, 2, and 3.
How can they do that?
Exactly. So I went out and said, okay, well, I've got 2 weeks to get as many people as I can to do this. I managed to get 13 tours, but I knew I wasn't going to get the 22 that they wanted. So that second week, the last week of June, I said, all right, here's my 2 week notice. I'm out. I'm not going to deal with this. Made it to the very beginning of July, and then unfortunately, that was the end of my 2 weeks, and I left the company. I actually did private security for about 6 weeks. Reaffirmed the fact that I didn't ever want to do that. And then
Hey, you're
had
taking the perfect transition track, just so you know. We change
right,
jobs
yeah,
typically 7 times, so.
yeah. So so hit a point, had made another good connection with a retiring Army lieutenant colonel who ended up doing a corporate fellowship with Disney Institute. She reached out and said, "Hey, you got to talk to this guy over here at Disney Institute. Um, we need to get you back into this." So talked to him. They had a professional internship opening up over there, and applied for it, interviewed, got accepted to go work over there at Disney Institute for 4 months. Great opportunity, great networking opportunity as well, because I had the freedom with the leadership there to be able to say, hey, I want to go out and do a meet and greet with so and so or so and so, and really had leadership that supported me,
That's
which was,
amazing.
yeah, it totally made a difference. So I was doing all these meet and greets, trying to find a way to stay with the company because I knew I only had a limited window at this point. Did a meet and greet with some leaders with Disney's labor and time team. During that, I asked them, "Hey, how does somebody get over here? How did because I never see your jobs posted." So um, went and talked to these leaders. They said, hey, we don't. When we do have jobs come up, we do post them. But we don't have anything right now. So okay, that's cool. At least I know what you guys do over here. So I left, went back. A week later, I'm out doing a meet and greet with somebody from Disney's Emergency Operations Center, which I didn't know was a thing until
Yeah, I didn't I knew about Disney Institute and stuff, but I didn't know about the emergency operations.
Oh yeah, it's a legit big operation. Um, so got back to Disney Institute from that. Within 10 minutes, my phone rings, and it's one of the leaders that I talked with at the time team. And they said, hey, just talked with our leadership. We think you'd be a really good fit for our team, and we want to offer you a position. Fantastic. I hadn't applied for anything, but absolutely, if it allows me to stay with the company, I will
Man, that networking
take
works.
that. Yeah, absolutely. So moved over there. My internship ended January 5th. January 6th, I started with the time team on a full-time status. And then within 6 months, they said, hey, you've mastered everything that we've thrown at you. You're familiar with all the processes and everything that we do over here. We want to promote you and make you one of our specialists. So
Awesome.
got promoted. Another 2 months go by, and my leadership team says, "Hey, we're getting ready to expand our team. We've got a new system that's going to be coming online next year. With this expansion, we're going to have more people. We need leaders, and we want to offer you a temporary assignment and do a salaried role." I said, "Well, yeah, I'd be a fool not to take it. So sure." That was supposed to happen back in April. March comes around, and all of a sudden everything goes topsy turvy. So parks close, resorts close, people get furloughed. 95% of my entire team gets furloughed. They kept me, four of the other specialists, and then two of our associates. And we worked through the entire furlough process. Really a very interesting time because the rest of our team got furloughed right in April. Sort of work through all of that, and then just continue to work as Disney starts reopening, starts bringing people back, and then September rolls around, and end of September comes, and Disney says, "Hey, yeah, by the way, we're going to be letting 28,000 people go." So we'd already started our training for the new program, new system that was coming online. I was one of the facilitators training the leaders for that, and I was talking with one of my partners. He said, "Hey, if you get if as long as you don't get a call before 9 o'clock at night, you're safe. But if the company calls you, they're going to call you before 9 p.m." It's like, okay. So Thursday night, I'm watching my phone, nobody calls. I'm like, sweet, I'm safe. I get to go to work again tomorrow. Um, Friday, October 2nd, I'm out at a VA appointment. I get a call from somebody I don't recognize. I obviously don't answer because I'm in the middle of this appointment. They send me a text message. Said, "Hey, this is so and so. Just trying to reach out to you. Please give me a call back." Send a text message back. Say, "Hey, I'm in the middle of a meeting right now. I'll let you know as soon as I'm done." Get done with that. Get out in my car, getting ready to go home. Send a message. Say, "Hey, I'm available now. Call me whenever's a good time." Sitting at a stoplight, phone rings. Okay, answer it. "Hey, this is so and so. I've got this other person from our HR team on the line. We're going to kind of go through some information with you." It's like, oh, crap. All right, here we
Why
go.
don't they
This
just
is
get
it.
to the point? We
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
just be like, you're fired.
Yeah. So they drag the whole thing out, and they're just like, "All right, your role has been eliminated, and you are." And I was like, "Okay, you do realize everything that we're doing right now on our team, and all the stuff that's going on, and all the things that are going to be happening in like 2 weeks." "Yeah, it's okay. Your team's totally got it." Sure, they do. Um, like, okay, cool, not a problem. Uh, and so I get home, and my wife and I had already been talking about how things were going to look for the month of October. We knew it was going to be crazy, super extended hours. I was going to be working until 8 o'clock Halloween. Um, so I wasn't going to be able to take the kids out and do anything. I get home, walk in the house. I'm like, "Hey, honey, I'm going to be able to help out with trick or treating and stuff." It's like, "No, you're not. You're going to be working." "Yeah, so about that." "No, not anymore." I just got laid off. And she's like, "What?"
The
So,
way you told her about it, like that's like
yeah,
true veteran form. Like, let's make fun of this.
yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, it's not personal. It's a business decision. I've been expecting it the entire time. So, whatever.
Were you
Um,
really, yeah, whatever, or were you kind of freaking out a little bit?
no, I was actually, I took it totally in stride. I had, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was disappointing. I felt worse because now I was going to leave my team in what I felt was going to be a bind because now they've lost an experienced trainer.
Such a veteran mindset. You are not even concerned with yourself. You're concerned with the people that you are leaving behind. Just that's a testament to how we care about working as a team and our teammates. So listening to how like things were in your environment and kind of how Disney is set up, did it almost feel like you were in the military? Because it seems like they're just like this in-house, like they're almost their own installation. You know,
Oh yeah.
did that help with your comfort level working there when you finally got into a position that was a better fit for you?
Yes. So I actually put an article together probably about a year ago where I made a comparison between Disney and the military and how they do have some kind of a rank structure, and tried to make comparisons. Say, okay, at this level within Disney, it's essentially the equivalent to what this would be like in the military. Um, and there was a lot of that familiarity that I came into it. Okay, I don't have to be quite as clean cut as I was in the military. But there were the basics that it was okay, very regimented, to an extent. There are expectations, there are, levels of leadership, and so that helped going into it. I mean, even one of the things that the initial recruiter had asked me, it's like, okay, well, you're going to have to wear a costume or uniform while you're
Like,
working. I'm like, yeah, okay.
you should have been like,
And
thank you, I appreciate that.
yeah,
Because when I first so I was a military spouse first, but my first job, like, I didn't like dressing myself, so I actually made myself a uniform. Like, I wore polos and khakis to work. I was like the only one that did that, so I stuck out like a sore thumb. But like, I didn't want to have to think about. And then when I started like improving my wardrobe, I still had a regiment. Like, Mondays was dresses, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was khaki and polos, Friday was jeans. Like, I still had that, So when they were like, you're gonna have to wear a uniform, you're like, thanks, appreciate that.
yeah, I've kind of been doing that for a while. Not a problem. Oh, do you mind being outside for, up to 8 hours at a time? No.
Yeah, especially for you with your old career field. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So what are you doing now?
So now I'm job searching, trying to find that next big challenge. I am trying to uh, find a spot where I'll be able to put all my experience and stuff that Uncle Sam gave me and the things that I've gained over the last 3 years to use, and hopefully find a good opportunity for that. And then I'm really toying around with the idea of possibly starting up my own business as well.
Okay.
So,
So you talk about, finding a position that uh you can utilize your military experience. What do you think is the most valuable experience or skill that you could bring to an organization?
um, probably, I mean, just the flexibility that we pick up throughout time in the military is, you throw whatever at us, and we're like cats. We can kind of go flow all over it, and if I if I fits, I sits,
Right.
basically. Um, and then just the determination to see through the challenges that get thrown at us. I think a lot of other people that I've dealt with, that especially that I've worked with over the last 3 years, where things started getting difficult, like, I can't do this, or yeah, you can. It's not that tough.
We
Um,
love those challenges. They're fun.
yeah. Um, so that, and then just the fact that we're proactive in preparing for whatever that next big thing is. I know people that were on my team that are still on furlough, and I've been telling them, like, look, you need to start looking for a job, because Disney's not going to keep paying you your healthcare benefits forever.
Right.
Um, and who knows when or if they're going to call you back. You need to start looking. They're like, no, I've been with the company for 15, 20 years. They'll call me back. They haven't yet. Or eventually calling you to say, hey, you're not coming back, then you need to be prepared for that. Um, and unfortunately, I don't think a lot of them are accepting that. They're like, no, I'll get called back. I'll get called back.
Well, that comes into your military training as well, especially with your career field that you were in, is like, yeah, you hope for the best, but you plan and you have multiple options. And even if those don't work out, like, we learn, even me, like, I was a personnelist, we learn, like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, exactly. What's the next thing that I'm going to try now? So, and I started doing that because, like I said, I knew eventually something was going to happen. Whether um, I didn't get promoted because in the position I was in, there was no room to grow. They weren't, with the entire company, well, with more than half the company being furloughed, there was no way I was going to move up anywhere. So the only way I knew that I was going to move would be to leave the company. So I'd started kind of looking in that direction anyway.
So did that not sit well with you then, because there's no room to grow and we're so used to having a track to continue to
Yeah,
promote?
it made it tough, because I was excited about the opportunity last fall to say, okay, yeah, come the spring, I'll move into a position that, while it may be temporary, there's a pretty good chance that it'll get converted to something permanent, um, and I get to continue to grow. And that was one of the things I liked about Disney, was that there is that opportunity to continue to grow. And while it may not always be a straight ladder up, you may go sideways, you may have to take a step back, but you're going to continue to move. And with a company that size, there's so many different roles and positions that are out there.
If you had any advice to give anybody that is transitioning out of the military, what advice would you give them?
I would definitely say reach out to people that have already made that move, that have already come out and have found a spot within the private sector. And I've talked to a lot of people about this as well. A lot of folks that are getting ready to make the move, or that are right there on the cusp of hanging up their uniform for that last time, and letting them know, hey, I'm here to talk to you. I will, tell you about my story. I'll tell you what I did, what I've gone through, and if that helps, awesome.
So if somebody were to reach out to you on LinkedIn, you would have a conversation with them.
Absolutely.
I think there are a lot of us out here that would, and I think that's great. Like, yeah, reach out to us, please.
As far as other advice, I would say, and you touched on this earlier, is be prepared to not stay in that one position, that first job you get. You may enjoy it for a while, but eventually you're going to hit a point where you're like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to move on. And that's totally acceptable. The loyalty that we had in the military to units and organizations, it's awesome. And a lot of times those organizations were loyal back to us, but you don't owe that loyalty to civilian companies. And they're definitely not going to give it back to you, because they've got to make money.
Absolutely. And even in like civil service or contract positions too, like I was very loyal to the previous wing that I worked for. When I was active duty, I became a contractor for them, and I was loyal to them, and I was loyal to my boss, and it got me nowhere. Like they kept promoting other people and putting other people from contract positions into high GS positions, and they wanted me to continue to do more with less. And that loyalty got me nowhere, because it doesn't exist in that environment typically. So
Yeah.
I was just very disappointed that these were mostly service members that were behaving this way. I'm like, what happened to loyalty?
Yeah, exactly.
So crazy. I'm so glad because you found me on LinkedIn, right? Like you saw one of my posts. Yeah, I'm so glad you found me. You have such a unique story, and honestly, I've loved talking to you. I hope we stay connected. Do you have any final words before we close out the podcast?
I would say, for people that are getting ready to leave the military, it is a new challenge. Hanging everything up that you've known for however many years it may be, it's tough, but there are a lot of people out here that are here, that are available to talk to support you, so that you're not going out into this great big crazy civilian private sector world by yourself. We're the pathfinders that are out here setting you up for success, so that you can come in and make some headway, and and then continue to pay that forward, and then look for those organizations that are there to help you out, so that you're not sitting in that transition assistance program trying to be like, man, how do I resumes, I don't get it, LinkedIn, I don't understand it. That's what we're here for. We want to, I know, at least I personally want to help as many veterans as I can succeed, so that
it's not a huge struggle. And, if I can help one person, awesome. But the more I can help, and if I can help private companies as well, and that's what I'm trying to do with my own venture is help them out and understand, hey, this is what we bring to the table. We may not have certain specifics that you may want for this role, but there's a lot of stuff that we bring that's you can't teach. We're here for that as well.
Right.
But I mean, definitely thank my family, my wife for sticking by me through 21 years of moving around, and then 3 years of dealing with all the craziness that comes from being a Disney cast member, and and then enjoying some of the perks that come with that too.
Oh
But,
yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's some perks there. I know my
yeah,
niece, did their student exchange program. Like, she worked there for a semester. Well,
yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. This has been a wonderful, unique conversation, one that I don't believe I've really had with anybody. So I appreciate your candidness. For everybody listening, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Transition Tales. We're going to go ahead and say bye and sign off. Bye.
Bye.